see them more clearly, to realize and recognize and identify that that's their issue and not yours. Even though there are times that people's brokenness will create drama and trauma in your life, yet you can retreat back for a moment and realize that you have a choice. Hi, it's Dr. Phyllis. Welcome to episode 36 of Joy in the Pivot. Today, I want to talk about live your best life now. I want you to think about when you were a little girl. What did you aspire to be? What did you dream of being? If someone said, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" What was your answer? Or what did you say to yourself, "When I grow up, I'm going to do what?" What was it? Who did you want to be? Who did you dream of being? How did you dream about your life? What you do, where you'd be? And then I want to ask you, are you living that dream now? Why not? What's keeping you from living that dream? These questions and your answers are very important as you start looking at giving yourself permission to pivot your thinking so you can pivot your feet into living God's purpose and his plan. So I want you to go with me for a moment back to my childhood. I remember, as long as I can remember, actually wanting to help people. I wanted to help. I wanted to help people be the best that they could be. And over time, that passion was played out into becoming a doctor. As well as I love movies. I loved old movies. I love to read books. My happy place is being in a library, being in a bookstore. You give me a cup of coffee and a book. Now it's become, I love listening to audiobooks. I have written volumes of poetry over the years. And admittedly, they are stored away, but I do plan on pulling them out and publishing them. And it took me getting off of that treadmill of life and giving myself permission to tap back into my dreams. Tap back into my dreams of being a published author, of embracing my gift of public speaking. I speak all the time, but it's actually embracing that gift that God has given me. And that's why this podcast just means so much to me, and having you here with me every week, because I feel like it's one of my superpowers. My ability to communicate, my ability to write, my ability to speak, my ability to help are all these superpowers. And so I want to ask you, what are your superpowers? I want you to think about, it's never too late. I want you to think about what it would make you feel like you're living your best life. What would make you feel like you're living your best life? And I'm not talking about material things. I think often we get caught up in the material things. But I can tell you that the material, the possessions don't mean a lot in the long run. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with, and I would support it, to attaining financial freedom so that you're able to pay off your bills, You're able to get ahead of your bills, your expenses, because that's a lot of stress. Living from check to check or robbing Peter to pay Paul. Believe me, I understand that. My middle name over the years had been Robin Peter to pay Paul. And until I had to realize that's not the way I want to live life. I want to streamline. I want to have financial freedom. I want to help others in a bigger way. I want to embrace my superpower of speaking and getting out and not being constrained by appointment times. I want to be able to see the light go on in the eyes of other women as they tap into their dreams, as they tap into their potential that's beyond the 9 to 5. Because you will hear me say that our jobs, our education, while it's important, it's a means. It's not an end. It's a means to do the bigger thing, the bigger dream that God has created us for. And we have to start now. Now, for some, it could be that you need to go back to school so that you can get the training to help you attain that next job so that you can then pay your expenses, get that financial freedom or start that new job or retire or take that trip that you want to or take care of your family, your parents, your children, your grandchildren. And if that's your dream, that's great. No problem. And along with that, though, you feel stuck because you can see that dream, you can see that financial freedom, you can see that next job, you can see that retirement, yet you feel like you have to put it off until whenever. So just like when we were little girls, we would say, when I grow up, I'm going to do that because that seems so far in the future. And now we find ourselves grown up and we ask ourselves, okay, what happened to that dream? Have you ever asked yourself that? Like, oh, what happened to the dream? And if we're not careful, that negative thinking will come in and say, well, it's too late. You missed your shot. You can't do that. So you might as well stay where you are, stay in this job, stay in this situation, stay in this mindset because it's too late. And I'm telling you, sis, it's not too late. That's really the take home message. You can live your best life now. Now, you heard me say about material things. And I want to kind of go back to that too, because I just remember what struck me when my mom passed away in 2021 that she was a dresser. Her stuff was always together. Her hat, her shoes, her clothes, and she was known for her hats. And when she passed away, I have her hats. And I remember looking at her hats and looking at her clothes and looking at her jewelry. And it just struck me that she's gone, physically gone, but her hats are here. Her jewelry's here. Her clothes are here. Now, that may sound silly to you. Like, Dr. Phyllis, of course, you know she's passed away. You know she can't take that with her. I understand that. And we throw that term around a lot by saying, well, you can't take it with you. But when you go through that, when someone passes away significant in your life, in your inner circle, your support, your most inner circle of support, and you realize that all of that stuff, I mean, the hats, the jewelry, the clothes, they're left for us. Yet she can't take that with her. And I want you to stop putting your dreams aside because you're waiting for the magic moment, because today is today. You have today. And I don't want you leaving your dreams behind. I want you to live it. My mom enjoyed her hats. She enjoyed her clothes. She loved shopping and she loved finding bargains. So I can say that she enjoyed her life because she would tell me, I mean, she would enjoy the ability to shop, but she also just enjoyed being with me and being with my kids and to be able to participate in their activities. That brought her joy. And when I thought about it, is that she used to tell me how she wanted a big family, and she was, of her surviving siblings, because one of her brothers passed away when he was 13 years old. So for most of her life, it was just she, my uncle, and my aunt, Phyllis, who I was named after. And they both had, my aunt had 3 children, and my uncle had several children. And all of them I love, my multiple cousins, I love them. And she had 2 children, but she had miscarriages between my brother and myself. And I think about too that that's probably why she invested so much time to loving upon other people and other children, be it as a teacher. She was an early childhood education specialist. Whenever there were youth doing positive things, she contributed financially or her time. She had so many kids that she adopted in a way that she was committed to their success. And so she was able to turn the grief of not being able to have more children into loving upon my brother and I, but loving other people's children and loving her grandchildren and being a part of their life. So, how all this ties together is living your best life. And while it may look different of how you might have envisioned it when you were a little girl, you still can live your best life. And you don't have to wait until your children are out of school or they're out of the house, or until your job changes or you're retired. You don't have to wait. And if you want to start, if you always wanted to have your own business, if you always wanted to be a speaker, if you always wanted to be in the best health and you wanted to be a fitness instructor, if you wanted to be in your best health, you wanted to start working out, do it now. Write your story, travel, go back to school and get that degree that you need, Or maybe you just wanted to take a fun class. Do it. Do it now. And while, as I shared, my mom enjoyed her hats, she enjoyed her clothes, she enjoyed her jewelry. I realized as I've gone through, there's a natural part of cleaning and sorting that you have to go through when a family member passes away. It's one of the most difficult things that I've had to do. And it's been a journey. It's been an ongoing of going through her items, and I have to take breaks in between there. But in the process of that, it's been a source of growth for me because there are some of her clothes that I can fit and I love. I can wear them. But there's some clothes that are too big, some that they just don't look good on me. They don't feel good on me. They were great for mom, but they weren't good for me. And her shoes, oh my gosh, she has fantastic shoes. She loved her heels. Now, after I got pregnant with my first child, I was pretty much through with heels. Every once in a while, I wear a low heel. I don't want my feet hurting. I'm telling you. I'm past the point. We used to call them tipping shoes. But my mom, until, up until her later years, and I'm talking about maybe 3 years before she passed away, she was still wearing her heels. And her feet were smaller than mine. So I can't wear all of her shoes. And the reason I share that is you have to embrace your own dreams. Just like I realized that I had to take parts from my childhood, my mom and my dad, and their dreams and their aspirations and the DNA, my upbringing, the things that added into me, but then I also had to dream my own dreams. So just like I can't wear all of her clothes, some of her hats, I love them and I will keep them, but there's some I can wear because they suit my style. They look good on me. I feel good. And there's some that look phenomenal on my mom, but they just don't fit me. And there's some shoes I can wear, and there's a whole lot I can't wear. And as I said, there's some of her clothes I can wear and some that I just can't wear. And that's okay. I have to take and incorporate those things I can from my past and mix them into who God has created me to be, to then create, with God's guidance, my best life and my present and my future. And I want you to do the same. There are some of those narratives, some of those opinions, and maybe with your own thoughts about the dreams that you have been holding within yourself that you always have wanted to do, but something was holding you back. Either because you thought it wasn't practical, it wasn't time, it seemed silly. Sis, now is the time. You owe it to yourself. A part of having joy, versus I talk about to be happy is it's a fluctuating mood. And it's fleeting, it doesn't stay. But joy is something that is very stable when you are living in your passion. You're living in that pivot zone, that pivot season when You are walking and living authentically, embracing who you are with your weaknesses or your opportunities for improvement and your strengths. And God is your GPS. When you stop trying to be perfect, when you forgive yourself, when you maybe step backwards a little bit, or maybe you step to the left, but you give yourself compassion to get back in alignment with God. And you tap into your dreams. That's joy. When you are able to do something, not just for everybody else, but for yourself, it is pure joy. Coming to you every week is joy because I feel like I am doing something that I always wanted to do is help others get to where I am, to live their best, to be their best, and to do something scary and to dream a dream and not just dream it, but make it happen and to feel like I am living with God as my GPS. I have joy. In the midst of everything that's going on around me, in the midst of all the storms that are going on around me, I have joy. And I want you to give yourself permission to pivot into joy, to pivot into a season, into a zone, into a chapter of joy, so that your resilience is 360. It's not just some cold resilience. I'm living life in defensive. I'm living life in reaction. That you're living life with intention because you know that life is going to happen, but you are giving yourself permission to have joy in the midst of it. I want you to dream big and not only dream big, but to live big. And that means to live your best life unapologetically, to live authentically. Just be you. Don't try to be anybody else but you. And do it now. Do it now. Do it while you're wearing all the hats, while you are responding to the other needs in your family or on the job. I want you to live your best life now because when you live your best life, when you invest in your joy, then you're able to deal with all the other. You don't allow it. It's not so easy to just that negative thinking of others, their unhappiness, their brokenness, their jealousy, their envy, then you can see them more clearly to realize and recognize and identify that that's their issue and not yours. Even though there are times that people's brokenness will create drama and trauma in your life, yet you can retreat back for a moment and realize that you have a choice because you've given yourself permission to know that that's not you, that God has created you. You have bigger dreams, you have bigger aspirations that you're working on right now. And I encourage you to get a coach, to get someone to do life with you, to help you get those dreams off of the shelf. I'm here. as a life coach to help you. And if it's not me, get a coach that can help you transform your thinking, transform your vision, transform your life so you can live your best life now. Yet it starts with you giving yourself permission to live your best life. Because if you don't give yourself permission, you're going to stay stuck. You have to give yourself permission to say, what if I went for my dream? What if I took just the very first step? Maybe just to get a coach, just someone to push me to think outside of the box, to color outside of the lines that have been the way that I've lived my life. I know you can do it, sis. This is your time. You can't hang on to the past. Well, you can, but there's no going forward if you hang on to the past. You have no control over the future, but you have control over what's happening right now. And now is the time. Now is the time. I don't want you to live a life of regret. I want you to live a life of joy. You deserve to live a life of joy. And I know you can do it. I'm Dr. Phyllis, and I appreciate you joining me today for Joy in the Pivot. Please like and share today's episode. And I am rooting for you. I want to help you pivot your thinking, pivot your mind, deepen your spirit so you can pivot your feet and move into your best life. Until next time, love you much. Be safe out there, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.